Hey guys, thank you so
So,
much and welcome to the Game Your Future podcast. I'm Daniel, and this podcast is all about helping gamers realize their full potential. And we start as gamers even from a very young age. And to help us talk about that, we have a very special guest, Maria Moreno, if I said that right, who is the founder of Mindful Mother and is a sleep coach and motherhood coach. So Maria, how are you doing? And welcome.
hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit first about Mindful Mother and what it is you do and what it is, especially about being a sleep coach and a motherhood coach. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so motherhood, my mind like the mindful mother became to be probably almost a year after my firstborn. Because she was a horrible sleeper. She had reflux. Oh my God, like it was really bad. The sleep deprivation was very serious. And and talking about gaming, my husband would be the one that would stay up all night,
Mm,
taking care of the baby. In the meantime that he'll be taking care of the baby, he will be playing. And yeah, so we will have to like live two separate lives because the baby would choke on her own reflux. So that was always
oof.
kind of like, yeah, that was very scary. And so yeah, we were very sleep deprived. And then after 6 months later, that's when we learned about sleep consulting, hired one. 3 nights later, she was sleeping full nights. And yeah, and
That's
then
awesome.
with not doing the cry it out method. And so I started seeing a huge change in my own mental health, my emotional health, and thankfully my husband and I have a very good relationship, but that just helped, make the relationship better, right? And so yeah, that's when it all started kind of like that's when it hit me like, oh my God, we need to have more resources like that, especially as moms, right? And yeah, so then that's where everything just kind of like branched down, began, and that's when I got certified in becoming a sleep coach and a life coach.
That's amazing. So because I know sleep is just so important. So and we can definitely talk, I'm sure hours on that too. And one of the things that I know as far as, whether it's getting enough sleep and I know growing up, it's important to have like some of these, I'll call it, structure and barriers around things to make sure you're getting, doing enough sleep. And another thing I know is, making sure that you have, your free time, but you don't want to, I guess, allow too much to the point of like you're not productive, right? Especially when you get into school. And then gaming comes up as like, oh, it's a waste of time, what a ridiculous hobby. And then uh, I guess I'll say from my personal experience, there's like, almost, grades could suffer uh, if you play too much. But I wanted to get kind of your thoughts because you had mentioned, I think, to me separately that you were a teacher, also, right?
Hmm.
And so so having kids and having worked with kids, I guess you wanted to get kind of your thoughts on gaming. Right. And so tell me, are you a gamer? Do you know people that are gamers? And how does that influence your thoughts on gaming?
So yeah, I've actually worked with families and kids for over 15 years, and I was in the classroom for 5, and I worked with middle school and high schoolers. So definitely like the gaming era, right? The prime
Oh
era
yeah, for
era.
sure.
And so, and on top of that, I was the art teacher. So, I had, a lot of kids that definitely loved gaming. And yeah, the perspective is pretty interesting because you would think as an educator or as a mom, most people would think that like, oh no, no gamings, you shouldn't do gamings. Am I a gamer? No. Do I wish to be a gamer? Yes, I would like to be a gamer. Because I do feel like it does bring a lot of skills into like your daily life. Like it has like a lot of different, it's not just like, oh, it's fun, that's it. No, there's a lot of skill that comes in it, right?
Yeah.
And so, my husband is the gamer in the house. After having kids, the level has gone down with how much he spent,
Expectedly
how
so.
much,
Yeah.
yeah. But the cool thing is that my daughter actually likes it, right? My oldest. The little one's still too little. She's 2, so she's still like whatever about it. But that is one conversation that I had with my husband. Is like, okay, what are we going to do about the gaming? And he's like, are you going to be against it? And I was like, no, I would love for them to be able to learn how to like play. Like I think it's a really cool, like techniques and just the way like I you know the whole th like I can't do the control thing. I just can't. And so, especially when it comes like to jump and then like also have like like even
Jump
like the
and
most
forward momentum and
forward
yeah.
or just like don't be careful with this, and it's just a lot. And you would think like especially women would be great at it since we are good at multitasking things like that, but man,
Yeah.
for some reason me, no, with the controls I can't. But I do admire it a lot. And as a parent, as an educator, like everything, it's good until a limit, right? So that is when, kind of like you said, the grades. Okay, if you are a parent and you're listening to this, it's like, how do you like manage that? Or if they're a pre-teenager or a teenager that's having, let's say, you know, like kind of guess a rebellion stage of not wanting to do anything but that, kind of like wean it off, take it off, and
Mm.
then make that as actually a reward. Because at the end of the day, continue having them because at the end of the day, it's a great skill to have. Um, to top it off, like the creativity, you have to, you have to read, you have to communicate. There's so many good advantages of gaming, and on top of that community that comes with it, you
Yeah.
know, it's just fantastic, and I love it. And so, I will definitely would encourage my daughters to, if they're into it, go for it. Like everything, there should be limits to everything. If it's affecting, you know,
Yeah, because
I
that
guess,
I'll
yeah.
say that definitely happened in my own life, right? And because gaming was definitely like that was the outlet. That was everything, so much fun and just would play hours and hours and hours. And then sure enough, grades would suffer. And kudos to my parents, especially my mom, that put the limit on it. This is like, okay, hey, your grades are suffering. So for like, for the next, semester, next, 6 months, whatever it was like, all right, you're not allowed to play until you can show me that you've done all your homework.
Hmm.
And sometimes it was like sometimes it got bad enough. It was like, all right, nothing, no gaming during the weekdays. You're just gonna like go out play with your friends. You can play on the weekends. So like
Yeah.
Friday night, it's like, all right, time for games. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So having kind of like that good limit, still gets like the child to become like to be able to be successful, whatever, academics or, also health wise, right? So it's kind of like how long are you going to sit there? And I know that it can affect the vision, it can affect sleep because of how much the light can really affect you. There's so many things, there's so many good things, but then we have to fit, also see what can
Yeah.
affect and how can it affect your kids. The also thing is the emotional health and the mental health that involves with it, right? So you have to also make sure that your kids are playing age appropriate games because of the simple fact that it can cause PTSD in such a young age because they're not understanding what the reality is,
Yeah.
right? And I actually, I do have a story on that one when I had middle schoolers and the tragedy that happened a few years ago in for Valentine's Day here in South Florida. These kids were kind of like giggling, you know, and they were my gamers, yeah. And
Mm.
so I looked at them, I'm like, hey, why are you like, oh, but they were kind of like talking about like Call of Duty and things like that, and just like how would they react and what would they would do and whatever. And I looked at them, I'm like, hey, there's no replay. There's no do-overs, so kind of like the not understanding what is reality and what is a
Mm.
game, right?
Yeah.
And so that is where you have to kind of like make sure that your kids understand that before letting them play very advanced, like especially
Right.
the graphics.
And I think at
Um,
least for the good news for the parents out there, there's an organization that rates gaming, right? The ESRB as it's called. Similar to like movies that have, PG, PG-13, R. Yeah, the games have their own rating. There's like the E
mhm,
for everyone, and there's the T for teen, and there's the M for mature, which is like the 17, 18 plus. And those are the ones, usually the super violent, gory kind of games. And so it's like it's self-regulated. They actually do that, and you go to like whether you get the online stores and stuff, or they don't really police that, right? It's just like, oh, whoever
mhm,
puts in the credit card, here you go. You go into like the stores, like a GameStop, they'll actually ask, be like, hey, is this I'll say the ones that actually take it seriously, they're like, hey, is this for a teenager? Is this for like a young kid? Because anytime, I'll say I personally worked at a GameStop years and years ago, and that was one of the things they told us, like especially for the mature games, like ask, like if
Hmm.
it's if they seem like they're a parent and not like oh it's like a college kid or whatever, it's like all right whatever, but it's like oh yeah this person is clearly like the mother, and it's like so this game is for 18-year-old or 17, 18 plus. Who is this for? Just want to make sure. It's like, oh, my 10-year-old asked for Mortal Kombat 6. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
and that's another thing that, if your kid is a gamer or they're in like they want to get into that world, educate yourself as a parent. Understand what the game is about and that's a great way to actually interact and have a bonding time with your kid, like with your child. Like that is a great way to be able to have a good relationship with your kids because at the end of the day, it's like, oh, what? Mom wants to sit down next to me and play with me or watch me play? Like, okay, or whatever it is. Like but just involving yourself in that process and
Mm,
educating yourself um, is a great way to like make sure that your kids are safe at the end of the day and also explain to them about the chatting right in between like in the game. Who are you talking to?
yeah.
Because I know like I have heard a lot of good stories as well I've heard not so great stories, right? And it's like we need to be careful, look at the, all of those things will be great conversations, but just not say like, oh, no, can't play at all. Like, no, like give them a chance. Like at the end of the day, you never know. They can be the next one of the greatest players out there or the one of the greatest like game designers out there. You don't, by having those restrictions and completely prohibit them, you're cutting off something that can be such a
Yeah.
great potential.
I completely agree with that, especially now, as of recording this now, right, in like the 2025 is that there's kind of this new like indie renaissance of game design, right? So the AAA studios, right, the big games have been kind of on this decline where they come out with all these big they try to do the big flashy graphics, these huge budget games, but they don't want to take risks, right? Just like I think just like the movie industry. It's like, well, we don't want to do something new. We got to do like Toy Story 6 because everybody knows that IP. So, and so the same kind of thing happens. We got the Call of Duty that comes out every year, and you're like, okay, sure. But then the indie games, it's like these are the small studios, like sometimes just a single person that create games, and sometimes they
Mhm.
just completely pop off that are just like, this is what we need. Cool and new, innovative ideas. Are the graphics amazing? Of course not, but they don't need to be. Like, it's all about this
Hmm.
engaging, fun gameplay. And so, I don't know if you heard the game Stardew Valley.
No, but I'm pretty sure
Okay.
my husband has.
Yep. So you ask him about this one, and he probably knows that that game. So just a fun little like cartoony little farm simulator, right? Grow your own little crops and like talk to the townspeople and just like make friends.
Oh, wait, yeah.
So a
Okay,
little
yeah.
cozy game made by one person.
Oh, wow.
All that was made by one person. And because it did so well, like dude's amazing. Dude's like millionaire, like multi-millionaire now because of how many copies he sold. And it's just like, yeah, so like you said, that's perfect because you can encourage that because that could be, the next person that makes, the next Stardew Valley, like the next big hit game made by like a single person.
Hmm. Yeah. And like the cool thing about it is like, okay, have your kids play and things like that, but also involve them in the process of making it, about the coding, about the graphics, about all of these things. Imagine the potential and how great like things can just ex man, things can like explode in such a great way for you to be able. And so that's the reason I encourage my husband to like, okay, there's limits. Like play until I serve dinner and things like that. So that way, and actually the other day, so yes, we are a Bluey fan
Mhm.
family, of course. And so now we realize that there's a new Nintendo game coming up, out already, a Bluey. And so my husband comes up to me like, guess what? And I looked at him, I was like, really? Yeah, the Bluey's out. And so he was like, okay, but now we have to figure out, like, okay, should we, when should we, and things like that, kind of like the process, because she was actually playing Mario on the Nintendo Switch, and it was this girl's better than me, man. She's only 4. And she was like getting first place, second place. And my husband wasn't like, helping. No, she did it all on her own. It was just it is really wild how these kids, like, kind of like, I guess the saying, like, babies are now being born with a phone, with like a tablet or the phone already in their
Yeah.
hands because these kids already, like, just whatever. So, But yeah, like obviously, like I said, have your limits, make sure that if it's affecting it, you know, and make it a reward system, and have your kids watch YouTube videos on how to code and create their own games because kids have such a wild imagination. And the best part, especially being a teacher, um, and fit and it used to be in first grade, now in kindergarten, they actually take away a lot of that imagination skills. And it's
Hmm,
because, yeah. So the house is
unfortunate.
not, yeah, they teach them how to draw a house. It's like, oh, it's not like this. This is how so there's like there's barely any actual liberty to be able to. And so when they came to my classroom into middle school, high school, they're like, I don't know how to draw that. And I'm like, oh, but whatever. Let's say draw like whatever, your favorite character. Oh, but I need like, how do I do that? Let's start with just a line, you
Yep.
know? Go for it, or just whatever. Like use your imagination. But if I give them a blank piece of paper and a pencil, they would freak out on me. Doesn't matter
Wow.
what stage, but they will freak out on me. Kind of like what? Like the imagination and the creativity is just getting like lowered and lowered and lowered and lowered and lowered because we're taking things away from them. And so
Yeah.
if your kid is, interested in gaming, art skills is not something just pretty, but just let's think about everybody that's designed things. At the end of the day, they have to have some type of, artistic skills to be able to know the graphics and the colors and what stands, all of this. So,
Right, because there's so much that goes into a game. So like I love that idea where you just encourage the kid to be like whatever aspect of the game they love, like encourage that because it could be because art, the graphics. It could even be like music, right? Like video
mm-hmm.
game music is sometimes pretty fire, right? It's like holy crap. I love those kind of like reaction videos where people like just play video game music to like, for the composers or writers and they're like, wow, this is really good. What, who did this? It's like, oh, it's from a video game. Like,
Yeah,
what?
I've seen those reactions. Those are so funny.
Those are so fun. So yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
aspects of the game, and so I love that. Like, encourage the child whatever aspect of the game they love, and
Mm-hmm.
going to that further, because that's something that I didn't, I had to kind of do that self discovery, I guess, over the years, right? And as far as graphics cool, music cool, but like I love like the gameplay of it. So it's like, so I think there was like a hint of it of like at one point, I'm like, oh, should I be a game designer? It's like, well, but society at the time, like I think my parents were encouraging enough, but they didn't like push, be like, oh yeah, go make games. Like, no, they were just kind of like, get a job. I was like, oh, okay. And then society's like, oh no, gaming isn't a thing. Like, even though it's like a
Mm-hmm.
multi-billion dollar industry,
Yeah.
but but no, it's not real. Go get a real job. I was like, okay. And so I ended up
Yeah.
getting the real job, and then sure enough, started using my video game skills in my corporate career. And that's kind of what led me to here to be like, oh, the skills are the same, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
leadership, communication skills, problem solving skills, strategic thinking, critical thinking. It's all the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You develop it
Yeah.
in the game, you use it in the rest of your life. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And the best part is like there's so many different games. Like, if, in case your kid is like having trouble with math, there's video games that will help them with their math skills, with their reading skills, with their vocabulary skills, like with everything that you can imagine. So if that's what they like and they're struggling in this area, like use it as an advantage.
Yeah.
It's an incredible thing to actually have. And yeah, the whole thing of like gaming is not, no, 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 no. It's a real thing and it's amazing and it's great. Like I said, I wish I was a gamer. My mom was to the extreme. So
Mm.
she was not like, no, I think we only had one TV in our household. And she was like, like, which is fine, like this time to this time and that's it, or only weekends. But I would have liked to learn and just yeah.
And I'll say so. My personal encouragement for you is like, yeah, the controller. It's just a learned skill, right? It'll come with time because yeah, I'd say between your husband and like I can speak for myself. It's like yeah, I've been playing with a controller for decades, so a lot of practice. So it's like yeah, it's like you could. So that's why any gamer that's played for years and years, it's just like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you pick up a controller, it's a brand new game, it's a brand new interface, and who knows what the buttons do. Doesn't matter. I've held a controller for years. I can experiment and hit the buttons to see what they do. Like,
Yeah, he was like, it's R1, R1, and then do like whatever the square. And I'm like, wait, where's R1 again? And he was like, oh, like just jump already. Kind of like, I'm like, okay, because he bought a specific like video game that you can play it with another person, kind of like as a spouse game. And it's like a
Uh-huh.
very cute, yeah, it's a very cute game. But when it came to like trying to escape something and you had to like jump and not like jump on a fan,
Mm.
how many times I fell, I don't know. I lost count until I just looked at him like, here, just take the control, you do it, because I can't.
No. Yeah, the co-op games I think is a great way to bond with that too. I just, yeah, so much fun. But I'll say, so my encouragement, yes, it is a learned skill, but it will come with time. If you have a gaming PC, right, mouse and keyboard, that's even an easier interface, right? It's just, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I have a keyboard, I have a mouse, easy. So I know like both my wife and I play like a lot of like PC games together, and it's just like easy done. And of course she's been a gamer for years too, so like we're both playing on the level now, but it's just so much fun to just like play co-op and just have these kind of fun experiences. So I love that. So I would
Yeah.
definitely encourage more of that for sure.
Yeah, well, let's see. I have to get him like I guess in a very extremely good, happy mood of like, okay, fine, I'm gonna have patience today. It's like he has patience until like I don't know what level we get into that he's just like, how many times do you have to fall? I already told you which ones, and I'm like, but the Harry Potter one, we've got the Harry Potter one, and I was able to get pretty far, um, until we started getting complicated with the amount of spells
Mm,
and amount of moving fingers that I was just like,
yeah.
okay, maybe
I
later
will
on.
say though, and growing up too, it's definitely been the change because like gamers getting into it now, and again, like I guess if you start at a young age, you can learn it pretty quickly. But I guess if you start learning now, as an adult, like the controllers, they do have like 12 buttons on them, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like the original Nintendo where it had like two,
Yeah.
and then
Oh, well,
start and
that is
select.
true. I mean, if you think of, I'm going to tell him that, be like, hey, you know what? You started off easy, okay? This is how you
Yeah,
learned. There was a process.
yeah, exactly.
That's,
It's like, yeah, you played the original Nintendo, you had two buttons, and then you got to the Super Nintendo. Oh, there's six, and it's like, yeah, now there's 12, and you want me to learn immediately on 12, right? Like,
yeah. There should be a like an actual thing like that out there of like, you want to become a gamer, this is how you should start, kind of like.
yeah. And that's what, yeah, because I have a good friend that's actually, helping his kids, like learn games, right? And is actually doing it kind of like what we did, like starting them on like, like they have the Switch and they have that emulator where you can play like the old Nintendo games. It's like, oh no,
Hmm.
you're gonna play the old Nintendo games first
I
because you're gonna
love
learn because you only
that.
have to hit the two buttons. It's like, okay, and then
Yeah.
you move to the next one and the next one. And so he's so it's funny he's doing this kind of progression in that sense. And I was like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense because that's how
Um,
we learned.
I mean, if you think about that's I'm just saying, a great business idea right there. Because to be honest with you, I mean, that's another great way, a tool for parents. Like your kid was already showing interest. Okay, how do you do that? How to actually educate the parent. Like I said, educate the parent to be able to help the kids, you know, develop these skills, and how to do it in a good, with good boundaries. Make sure that it's like a good, healthy, type of, rhythm, I guess.
That's great. Yeah, it sounds like something I'm gonna have to work on. Work with parents too. So, like I said, I mostly work with young professionals, like entrepreneurs, like young adults, but like we and I love that you brought that to the forefront that kids, they learn too. Like they learned amazing skills and looking at it back in myself, it's like, yeah, I was learning a lot as a kid, like all these different skills.
Hmm.
And so I'll say to anyone out there too, that especially those gamers that, if you catch yourself thinking like like in a group setting or something, it's like, why doesn't somebody get this? Or you're at work and like somebody just doesn't get something, or you're the fastest to get to the answer before everybody else. And like, you might be scared to say the answer because you're like, I don't like everybody else is taking a long time for this. Like, am I wrong? Like, I did this too quick. And it's
Hmm.
like, no, you have amazing problem solving skills because you're a gamer.
Yeah, yeah, that is 100% true. Like the kids that I taught that were gamers, most of them were like in AP classes, honor classes, if they had good self-esteem, right?
Mhm.
So that's another thing. Like if you are encouraging this passion and make it something for them, the self-esteem is going to be so high. So literally you will make your kid unstoppable, and then being a young adult and you be unstoppable because like you said, at the end of the day, you have those skills. you know what you're doing, you know the answers, and you guys tend to be quicker at solving. Like my husband, like half the time is like, nope, that's not gonna work. I'm like, I didn't have the chance to process that. Like, he's like, that's not gonna fit there. What? Like I haven't even like have gone halfway
Yeah,
to
it's
it,
like, I barely picked it up, and he's like, nope.
Yeah, nope. So it's pretty funny because, like, it's pretty funny, but it's very real. Like, at the end of the day, you guys do have those problem solving skills. You do have those communication skills. And at the end of the day, I know that, especially, like I said, working with preteens and teens, they were always like embarrassed to show the gamer side, right?
Hmm.
Because of like what society says, when in reality, it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I don't know. In my opinion, like I think it's super cool. I know it's super lame right now because obviously a teacher, a mom, I mean, why? But besides those titles, I think it's absolutely extremely fun, impressively, like I think it's really cool. And if there's any young adults that is listening to this, or have gotten this far and actually listened to this, I would like you to know, like, continue doing it. Just do it because at the end of the day, what always gets us and always gets us stuck is our fears and what are gonna people say. And at the end of the day, we need to stop caring what other people say and just do you.
I love that. That's just do you. As because I feel like I'm one of the lucky, fortunate ones that like I was very unapologetically a gamer, right? And I think that helped immensely, right?
Hmm.
Because I definitely had a friend, once I got to college that, was kind of like you said, that kind of shelter, kind of shy about the gaming side of it. It's like, oh yeah, he's a cool guy, but then like kind of felt something was missing. He's like, oh, and I'm a gamer. I'm like, oh great, we could talk about da 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 da. And it turns out he loves like a lot of the same games that I play. And then suddenly became one of my closest friends. And I was just like, if I didn't know you play games, how are
We
we
would
going
have
to
never had
connect
this.
like that?
Yeah, my husband and my best friend, because my best friend, like, her fiance is a gamer. She's not, but she's loves anime.
Ah,
And she loves, like, also like me, kind of like we're not good at gaming, but we're totally down to watch.
yeah,
And so it's pretty cool because that right there linked a good friendship relationship, between my husband and my best friend. So that's another thing. Like, being in the gaming community, you are allowing your kids or allowing yourself to be able to find amazing connections that are actually fun.
yes, absolutely. And my favorite part about the gamer community and those experiences is that it doesn't have to be online or even multiplayer games. Like you can connect on single player games because you have a shared experience there. Right.
Hmm.
I'm a huge fan for those that can see the background. Like, you can see some Final Fantasy related paraphernalia. I love Final Fantasy series, which is, the JRPG stuff. So just like single player adventures, go around, save the world, get a whole bunch of like hero characters. And it's like, wow, you play that by yourself. But you know what? You find somebody else that's played the same game and you're like, oh, what did you do about this thing? What did you get this item? Did you get that, spell, whatever it is? And you have that shared experience. You have that camaraderie to like tell these kind of stories about what you did and how. And it's really fun that sense of discovery. It's like, oh, you did that, and then you have that surprise moment. Like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Like, so much fun. So gaming
That is very
communities,
true.
even single player games, guys,
Yeah,
so much
definitely.
fun. Well, I know we could talk for hours and hours, I'm sure, but I do want to say, like, so as we wind down this particular episode, uh, so I guess Maria, where can we find out more about you and what you do as far as helping and guys, if you want to have Maria back on the show to talk even more about especially the sleep coaching because I know that is going to be powerful too. Please let us know. But where can we find out more about you and what you do?
So, the easiest way is Instagram, mindful mother underscore sleep. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but like either I don't have kids or I'm a mom and my kids are adult or whatever it is. Like my kid is a teenager. If you have any questions or if you're a teen and you're listening to this and you want your mom to understand, go ahead and have them message me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. It's been fantastic. So, gosh, I just cannot thank you enough for Maria for being on the show. I think it's so cool and just helping share that message, especially to the parents that gaming is not only okay, it's encouraged. Like,
Hmm.
you guys heard from, from a teacher, from a mother that says, yes, let your kids play video games. It helps.
Yes, it does.
Fantastic. So, yes, so thank you again, Maria. And before we go, we'll have one final question that we ask every time for everybody. What is your favorite video game?
I'm gonna just say the only one that I have been successfully good at. Actually, no. I'm bit between Mario and Harry Potter, but I'm pretty sure you get that a lot if nobody's a gamer.
I've heard Mario a few times, but no, I have not heard of Harry Potter yet. So
Oh, well, yeah,
uh,
I actually enjoy that one.
that's good. So, and the newest one is that the Hogwarts Legacy?
Yeah, that's the
Yep.
one that, yeah, it's
Perfect.
pretty interesting. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a good answer. I don't think I've heard that one yet. So very cool. Good
Awesome.
stuff. All right. Well, thank you again, Maria. And guys, if you want to learn more about Maria, definitely check her out and what she does, especially if you want to get your parents to understand how gaming affects you, and if you're a parent as well. And if you're looking for a better way to, I guess to sleep, to have actually like healthy, rejuvenating sleep, definitely check her out. And again, if you're looking to use your gaming skills to get ahead, if you're looking to increase your income, smash that glass ceiling at work, let me know. Check out my website, dragonmorexp.com. Guys, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. And remember, stay awesome, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.